Well, it's road racing night once again for the Area Truck Series. Just once this season in a 17-race-long championship. Our one and only time going road racing was last night in the Cup Series, but we get to do it two more times, once for the trucks and once for the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series. Kyle Heyer joined by Connor Hornadite. Connor, 35 laps on the Charlotte Roval. It's about as much about survival as it is about speed tonight.
Yeah, just like it was last night. We didn't even get out of the infield section before chaos ensued. Some drivers got through it, some drivers didn't, but it didn't really affect the race for the win at the end of the day. We knew it was going to be James Kiely and Jake Matheson. We thought Jake Nichols might be mixed in there, just couldn't keep up. Those two put on a heck of a show last night, and we get one more glimpse at this battle between these two on the road courses for the season tonight.
Yeah, certainly, and we're going to finish up practice here momentarily, but just having a quick look here at the Truck Series playoff picture after race 5 a couple of weeks ago. Locked in 5 drivers: Nathan Jump, Brad Slaughter, John Hall, Travis Beckner, and Jake Matheson. Those are your 5. Everyone else has a little ways to go and some things to learn,
including our reigning champ Scioli. Granted, he did miss Milwaukee 2 weeks ago, so that's really why he's below the cut line, and that could easily change with a win tonight. But there's really not much drama points-wise on that cut line. You see Ryan Swan 13 up, Michael Curran 8 up. They're really the only ones above that cut line that aren't really in a great spot. Balliet and everyone above is 20 plus, and then you get Fambro, Bourne, and Sogak, Scioli. I believe at least 3 playoff drivers from last season below that cut line. I think Anna Sogak and Tom Bourne. So those drivers got to get going. Also, Greg Mitchell down 21 points, Senesac 30 points. A lot of drivers who got to get things going.
Yeah, certainly. So that's the picture heading into the night. Of course, after 35 laps, we'll have a better picture of who is the one to beat here. And God, my broadcast graphics sticking a little bit, so I'll have to sort that out before we get rolling here tonight for our 35-lap event. So I'll likely do that during qualifying, Connor, as we watch cars roll their way around the racetrack here, tailing out the end of practice. Let's talk about tires. Last night, that was a big challenge, was not the tire, but the lack of wear and not being able to find any advantage, pitting early, pitting late. It didn't matter. Tonight, it should be a bigger deal.
Yeah, it'll make a big difference. You might see drivers only go about 5 laps and then come down, maybe try a no-tire stop and just get the fuel a little amount as possible. But the wear is going to be pretty severe, 2 to 3 seconds maybe, even for the front runners like Scioli, Travis Beckner, Jake Matheson, who I believe are our top 3 in practice right now. So it's going to be a bit more strategy. You can split it halfway, you can run the fuel out again, but I don't think you want to run the fuel out because the tires are wearing tonight. So I think we might see some short pitting happen.
Yeah, certainly could be on the docket here tonight as we get ready here momentarily to get things rolling. Still stuck on the graphics piece here. So I'm going to continue to work that out as we get ready to go racing here this evening. Travis Beckner won to beat, though, Connor. We got to keep our eyes on him as always.
Yeah, extremely fast at the road courses. I think it would have been a top 5 driver if he didn't get involved in that melee out of the infield. He might have even gotten a top 5. I don't know. He passed me and ran away from me. So very, very fast. And he was fastest in practice, you could see on our stuck ticker, by a decent margin. So he's definitely going to be a factor more than he would be, I think, at other road courses. I think Scioli's got the Glen down, but maybe not as dominant tonight. We'll have to see as he's taking a very, very slow outlap.
Yeah, I'm going to give all of it a big old restart here before we get into the show here this evening. But Travis rolls his way around the course as we get set up. 35 laps here, Connor. Tell me about the start of this race. You got grip for a couple of laps, but that's going to burn off pretty quickly as we get into our evening. Just the challenges of maintaining rear tires in particular, that's going to be the biggest challenge.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to really get away with any slides like you were last night. These tires are going to wear pretty quickly. You might get 2-3 laps of decent drive off and drive in, but the front tires are going to give out lastly, and those rear tires are going to become an issue really within that first 5 laps of the race. You got to be very careful. You need to be able to control the throttle. Kind of like the what is that trick called? You put an egg under the throttle under your gas pedal and then try not to crack it, something like that. That would be good training for tonight, because if you wear those rears out, you're going to have a tough time, because there are not many long straightaways here where not many long straightaways where you can afford a bad exit. There's always going to be a decent amount of throttle input you have to put in on the exits of these corners, especially you're going to be sliding the rears through this infield section through there and through the uphill section as well, and also the final 2 left-handed corners before getting back out of the infield. So those rears, if you wear them far too much, you're going to be in trouble for a long run. You might have to short pit very early.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, we got things rolling now. Just required to reboot and reset to get everything reconnected there at the hip. But 7 minutes and 49 seconds remaining here in qualifying is now The 77 works his way around the course, and that's Jacob Bell getting up to speed. Big field here tonight as well. We had a little bit of a smaller field last night, Connor. That doesn't seem to be a challenge here this evening. Well over 30 trucks going to go for victory here at the Charlotte Roval.
Yeah, it might be the biggest field I've ever seen for a Roval race. I believe we have 38 trucks. Casey Lakatos joins back as Jacob Bell is probably going to do 2 of the 3 races. I don't remember if he races the Pro Series or not. It's been a little while, but he was not very lucky last night. I believe he was caught up in that lap 1 incident, and he'll try to go for some better luck tonight as he comes through the final 2 corners. The trucks look really skewed. I'm not sure if that's just an illusion or actually what it is, but the truck looks skewed on the oval section as he comes to start his lap.
And Travis Beckner is the first driver to put a time on the board. Some other drivers making their way around course right now. Eric Wineland is here tonight, as always. We've got him as one of our drivers on our cameras here this evening. We'll get to keep an eye on him, as well as JT Poole we've got, as well with Ricky Bobby sitting behind him, and as always, Michael Curhan. Have you ever seen hopping turtles? Well, you're gonna tonight. Absolutely. Jumping curbs, that was the story of last night, including the battle for the lead that we had towards the end of the race, Connor. That got pretty exciting.
It did get exciting. I saw it right behind me because I almost got lapped. That's how fast those 2 were. But I think you're going to be able to hop those curbs a little bit better. That next-gen car, the underbody, it really makes it difficult to use those turtles for anything. I think the trucks and the Xfinity cars even are going to be able to use them a little bit more for actually turning through here, as you don't really want to hit them that hard. But Curhan, I think in the next-gen car, that would have slammed him to the wall. But instead, he gets a P3 time down.
Yeah, nice solid lap time, but through turn 1, he's going to go for a slide. That should throw off the rest of that lap as something to salvage. Colin Fambro also invalidated his first lap, or at least ran a very slow lap, but maybe lap 2 will be more representative of where he should be on course.
You know who else invalidated their first lap was James Scioli, so I don't know if he reset or not, but Scioli's going to have to go fast on his second lap. He's going to try to beat a 120.80 by Beckner's provisional pole. 18 of Fambro will obviously do the same thing as he's clean through the infield section.
Yeah, there's a look at the number 7 of James Scioli, last night's winner. Almost lost it to Jake Matheson, and so he clearly knows who his competition's going to be tonight. It's going to be Beckner, it's going to be Matheson. Those Miller Racing cars have been hard to beat across all of Aria's series this season, so James has got to put in a flyer right now. Looks like he's on a decent lap at the moment. We'll see what it pans out to be.
Yeah, when we were last in a truck series, Miller Racing dominated Milwaukee. They led all but 13 laps. They led about 113 of 126. Beckner led 93 of those. A very sloppy race, but a very dominant win for Travis Beckner. And we'll get rid of the yellows tonight. Not going to have 16 like we had 2 weeks ago. Scioli's going to try to be in front of them both, though. It's going to be very key to winning this race. As he threw the final corner, he fired it into this final chicane. Really hit that curve, though.
And across the stripe, a 120.773. Right to the top goes James Scioli. Perhaps no surprise there. Here's Eric Wineland through the last chicane on his final lap attempt here.
It's actually his first lap attempt.
Oh, it is his
you
first,
get 2
right?
laps tonight.
Yep.
123.611. That's going to put him down the order, maybe 26th position, 27th position, as a few others go faster.
I think he'll want a bit better than that. So lap 2 it will have to be. This infield section, Connor, you can't really make a lot of passes down here. Getting side by side, though, you can cross over, cross under. It's a pretty fun section of the racetrack to drive. There's some elevation here towards the end as well. But it seems like all of this is just setting up for opportunities to pass into the chicanes.
I would think so. I mean, if you want to pass in that infield section, you're going to have to make sure you get physical and expect to get physical back if you do move someone. It's really only the way you're going to do it. Bump and run, maybe into the downhill section, then maybe into the uphill section as well, as while it maybe taps the wall. Don't know if that'll validate it or not, but yeah, it's going to be very single file through there if you want to make time. If you're battling someone through that infield section, you're not going to gain a lot of time. You're going to lose a lot of time, and if you don't make the pass, it just makes it even worse because the guy you're trying to pass there just going to be mad at you as Weiland doesn't hit the curbs on the left. He slams the ones on the right. It's kind of vice versa of what you want to do in that section in the truck and Xfinity cars, but got a decent run out.
And it's all about getting the exit speed, right? It's maybe not so important in the final chicane because it's such a short run, but leaving that backstretch, you want to have a straight shot. So what you're going to do is you're going to clobber the entry curbs to give yourself a better straight line through. But Eric, a bit tentative there, but I think this lap he's going to pick up a pretty good chunk of time. 122.015. That will jump him up to 12th. That's not a bad spot. You see the reaction there. That's the equivalent of not bad.
Yeah, definitely the equivalent, much faster. It's hard to go faster on lap 2 and anything but a cup car, so he's able to do that, and that's a decent spot to be. Maybe a little bit in the danger zone of being in the mid-pack, but he's around there with Justin Sogak and JT Poole. He actually almost tied laps with, so that's going to be very important for these drivers to get through lap 1. We can't stress that enough as you look at the qualifying results. The most likely results, as no one else is really on track right now, putting a lap down, Skyoli on top, and that's big for turn number 1 and throughout.
Yeah, I think that's the idea here is we're not going to get any more laps unless Tom Bourne or Mark Brannigan Jr. gets on tracks immediately. So it'll be Skyoli and Beckner on the front row, and then looking down the rest of the field, a lot of Chevrolets in that 11 through 20 group. And the most notable thing, 37 entries is a nice sizable field. Connor, here's a look at the track map at the Charlotte Roval. It's changed in configuration a number of times, most recently in 2018 when it got the biggest revamp it's ever had, and then 2019 when that backstretch chicane was changed from a slalom section to a much slower passing opportunity. Much to the driver's happiness after that first sling chicane. While it was fun to drive, it was also really treacherous. But there's a look at it. Not a lot of elevation. Most of it happens in turns 5, 6, and 7 before we get up onto the banking here. The big change from tonight, from last night, is you don't have that underbody aero to worry about damaging, and you have a lot more suspension compliance, which should make the trucks a lot more compliant at low speed. So that should be helpful. You're going to see a lot more tire wear, though.
Yeah, and I don't even know if we had a race on that old chicane on the backstretch on Sim TV, but either way, you are going to see a lot more tire wear, and you're going to see probably a lot less self-inflicted crashes. These turtles that we look at as we look at the population of Concord, these turtles are, like you said, the underbody and the cup cars, they won't take it very well. I remember driving the Daytona front stretch chicane for the NASCAR section of that track. It's impossible to get through there with any speed, and it really kills the speed during the run, especially those curbs. So these trucks are going to be much more, they're going to be able to handle a lot more tonight. As I'm looking at JT Poole, who's still running laps on track, he's just barreling over them, and he's still making time, getting good runs out of the corners as he's just getting practice in before the 30 seconds are up. So that's going to be pretty important. I think we're going to see a lot of moves being made over those turtles because I think people are going to be more confident in what they can do.
Certainly, as race fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. As a subscriber, you can redeem those Area iRacing emotes. You can use them in the chat. You'll also earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise, all at the price of just $5 a month. Of course, our Roasted Gems coffee starting lineup is coming soon. Race fans, start your engines with a fresh cup of Roasted Gems coffee. Choose from some of the finest coffee beans from Colombia and Peru, or try the blended flavors of French vanilla and hazelnut. Use discount code Area iRacing for 10% off your order at checkout at roastedgems.com. Well, in the moments before the green flag here tonight, trouble spots. I think we're going to outline those chicanes as trouble spots, consistency, but tonight we've got more pit strategy. It's going to be a one-stop race, Connor, but how do you split it up with that extra tire wear? Do you run long? Do you run short? Does it depend on where you are compared to the leader?
I think it will depend on where you are, but not really just about the leader. But if you're in your own battle for like 8th position, say you're within 3 seconds of that guy and everyone else is about 10 seconds or more apart, that's when you might consider that short pit. Try to get a jump on him. It's going to be a little bit tougher to pass as we look at our track temp is up to 102 degrees. And with how late it is in the session, I think that will go down. But it's going to be a little bit harder to pass, so that short pit might be in your disposal if you're close enough, but you got to make sure you're close enough. If you're not close enough to really make any sort of moves or anything, you'll probably just split it up in a half, about 17, 18 laps. Or if you're feeling really daring, you want the tire advantage to the end, you might even go longer, maybe go to about lap 22, lap 23, that type of spot where you can get the tire advantage, the fresh tire advantage to the end, and maybe use that to your advantage to catch some of your competitors. So it's going to be all over the board.
I think the track temp in particular, being almost 20 degrees lower than last night, is going to help. But it's going to feel a lot worse because the tire wear is so much more significant. So all things to keep in mind as we head into the night here for our 6th round of the season. As far as the next rounds on the calendar, we're going to be right here next week on the oval configuration. Then we head to Darlington, Michigan, Homestead, IRP, and Talladega to wrap up the rest of the regular season before the playoffs start. The thing we mentioned last night as well, if you're a road ringer, this is your one and your only shot. In the past, we've had more than one road race, but no more. Tonight, this is the only one that you're going to have all season. If you call this your best discipline, this is your time to strike.
think John Peel made a joke in general chat on Discord tonight that they're taking the road courses away from him as he's the owner of Scioli's truck. So, they're mulling a road course series. Not actually, that was just a joke. But definitely got to make it count if you're James Scioli or Travis Beckner, two guys, Matheson as well, three guys that are really, really exceptional at these road courses. And it's the only win of the season up for grabs going left and right. So with Scioli below that cut line, this could be more important than ever for him.
Well, let's get through our Roasted Gems Coffee starting lineup. Let's kick things off with that front row. And starting on the front row, it's going to be James Scioli in that number 7. This is his shot. This should be an easy one for him, but as we saw the other night, Matheson's going to be a challenge. Travis Beckner starts alongside him in that front row.
In row number 2, there is Jake Matheson. You'll have to get through Beckner to get to Scioli, but I don't think it'll be easy tonight, just like it wasn't easy Monday night. Matheson's going to start alongside Michael Curran, who was strong last night as well.
Ford F-150 in 4th. John Hall starts 5th in the number 03. Then it's David Weishart in the number 33. He had a night to forget last night in his Toyota. He'll have to hopefully not have the same luck tonight. He rolls off P6.
Then P7, Joshua Balliet, he's 9th in points, a strong season so far. And then 8th position, the winner from Atlanta a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago at this point, Brad Slaughter Jr., the number 8 truck, starts 8th.
And in 9th place, it's Mason Kane, the number 31. Greg Mitchell starts 10th in the number 2.
NASCAR Xfinity Series driver full-time next year, Kyle Sieg in the number 11 position. He's in the number 39 truck in that F-150. He starts alongside Eric Wineland. And
Wineland will roll off in that 12th spot. JT Poole starts 13th place with Ricky Bobby right behind him. Justin Anasogak starts 14th in the 88.
Shelby Silverado, a row of Silverados. That's Sam Fontaine, the number 71, 15th position. Gary Waterworth, who's had a strong start to his season, he starts 16th.
In 17th place, it's Bryce Senesac in the 09. Jacob Bell, 18th in the number 77 Chevy.
19th position is going to be Dylan Lee, and rounding out the top half of the field, starting 20th, is the 01 of James Shanewolf.
And 21st place, there'll be Shane Therian in the number 38. Matt Sharp starts 22nd in the number 45.
The HyperX Chevy Silverado, that's Ryan Swan, as everyone's going backwards and forwards as they get going here. Ryan Swan starts 23rd, Danny Ware alongside him at 24th.
And 25th place, it's Colin Fambro, the number 18. Garrett Grant starts 26th in the number 5.
Eastern Stars Motorsports F-150, that's Austin Gack Jones starting 27th position, alongside the number 69 truck of Sean Peachin.
And then it's Joey Chapman, 29th in the number 60. Jeremy Brown starts 30th in the number 89.
Another one of the Powerhouse Racing Silverados, that's Jason Dalton in the 02, starting 31st position. Bronson Stafford and the Matt Murr Designs Area.Shop Toyota Tundra starts 32nd.
Still on the way down to the tail end of the field, Matthew Rodriguez, 33rd in the number 51. Adam Capps, 34th in the 05.
Second to last row, Ryan Nowicki starts 35th, the last of the qualifiers. The first driver who didn't put a time down to start will be Mark Brannigan Jr.
And wrapping up the rest of the field, Casey Lakatos in the number 50 starts 37th, and Tom Bourne starts 38th in the number 16. One of the big changes I was hoping to gain with this new dual PC setup is extra performance, and we have a field of 38 trucks. Connor running that screen at 1440p, and everything's looking nice and fresh. And that should mean that by the end of December, SimTV will be streaming in 1440p as well.
If only the big screen on the backstretch could stream in 1440p. It's or actually have footage, new footage.
It would be nice, of course. All
it's
really
been
excited
for years.
Yeah, it has been. Those were rallycross cars on there. At least they got Detroit, so it's not that old, but it has changed a couple of times. I'm just very excited to finally have the performance back. Strapping everything down to one computer really does limit the performance. Cranked the bit rate as well tonight. I didn't notice a huge difference, but hopefully those on YouTube notice maybe a slight clarity increase, but compression will always be the killer there. So that's why the push to go to 1440p in the coming weeks. Just got to update some assets so that everything is in that higher resolution. All right, Connor, pick me a winner tonight. James Scioli might be an obvious one, but I'll let you pick first.
I'm gonna go Jake Matheson. I think he was so close last night, but it was so hard to pass last night. If you got to someone, that dirty air really hurts, but I don't think it's gonna be as apparent tonight. Plus the clean air, plus the tires wearing is gonna play a factor as well. If he can push Scioli maybe past his limit, which I think he could be able to do, even Beckner could be able to do it, they could really force his hand and maybe force strategy to go the wrong way for Scioli. So that's why I'm gonna pick the 52.
All right, I like that pick. I'm going to go with the 28, last winner here, I believe, and starts on the front row. Scioli showed signs of cracking last night, and while I don't think, it's maybe wise for none of us to pick him, I do think that it's possible he gets beat tonight. 35 laps this race from start to finish. It'll be about 47 minutes, so buckle down here on Sim TV. It's about to get loud here at the Charlotte Roval. Time to go racing, and green flag is in the air. We're racing on the road course. The one time this season we get to do so. So far, so good for the first half a lap or so. The big drama last night started returning to the oval section, turn number 8, where you could take that left back onto the oval racetrack, Connor. That's a blind corner, and it caught a lot of drivers out early last night.
And we'll see how we get through this time as the leaders. Beckner gets by Scioli. He's through, and we're single file all the way back to the battle for about 9th. It's Greg Mitchell close to the wall. JT Poole and Brad Slaughter went under him. But it looks like even with more trucks, we're pretty much clear onto the oval.
Might help that we've got more low-speed grip.
Oh,
for the
Beckner
lead.
just spun by Scioli.
Wow, trouble up front. The 28 spins. And just like last night, lap 1 is a disaster. JT Poole slides by a couple trucks scatter there. I think one of them was...
JT Poole, maybe?
JT was one of them. It was the 8 of Brad Slaughter was the other I pointed out. Casey Lakatos is trying to wickies around, and there's more trouble.
Before the lead, it looks like Matheson and Scioli just got together. They both missed the turn. Michael Curran might take the lead because of slowdowns here.
Through the middle, Michael Curran tries to steal the lead away, but the 7 of Scioli, I think, is going to hang on. He does have a slowdown, so Curran to the lead.
And I think that was payback. I think Matheson, someone in the wall there. I think I'm missing Kane. But that was crazy. It looked like Matheson really sent it into the chicane on the front stretch, maybe trying to get payback to Scioli for dumping his teammate. And now, all of a sudden, we got a new man in control.
Now, we'll go back and look at that. We bookmarked them for later once things cool down. David Weishart runs 5th right behind John Hall. He wants into this fight for the lead here. But as I mentioned, we saw Scioli wasn't infallible last night, late in the going in the Cup Series race. And already he's lost the lead there. One car slipping and sliding. That's Joshua Valiette in 07.
He's just trying to hold off Mason Kane. Already trauma, not where we saw it last night, but Valiette really sliding. Mason Kane, I thought he hit the concrete wall, but his truck looks clean. Valiette would just let him by. Meanwhile, one who seems like he's got the most damage out of that is Jake Matheson, who slams the curbs on the left side and gets through the ones on the right. That left front fender really punched in from the contact with Scioli, I think, as we get a look at what just happened on turn number 1.
Yeah, and I'm going to show you this very quickly because there's a battle for the lead shaping up here in a moment. But the 7 just gets in there hot and just kind of turns the 28 around. And as I said that, Scioli has gone back to the lead here on Curhan, and Curhan's got a slow moment there.
Yeah, Curhan gave him too much room. I think he was scared of Scioli just shoving him, so he ended up slowing up. He ends up losing almost 3 positions. In fact, he will lose that 3rd position. Maybe not quite yet. That's why Weishart and him side by side. And then this is maybe the retaliation. Matheson very deep under the brakes to get back by Scioli and just shoves him straight up and both of them off the track, which is what let Curhan get the lead here. But unfortunately, Curhan doesn't even get the lead a lap.
Yeah, he was never going to make the corner there. Ryan Swan's got big damage leaving turn 1 here.
That was out of the corner as well. Wonder if that was contact or on his zone. Oh yeah, on his own.
On his own. Got helped around by one of the trucks there, but the damage mostly came from his own mistake. Unfortunately, he'll drop down to 36th as Jeremy Brown muscles his way on by. So Scioli back out to the lead now by 2 seconds. Jake Matheson, John Hall, the area.shop trucks run 2nd and 3rd. Then it's David Weishart 4th, Curhan 5th, in a pretty dramatic opening 3 laps here in Charlotte.
Yeah, very dramatic, and just Scioli and Beckner, they find each other, man. That was very questionable, and then Matheson was questionable, but we're past that at this point. Beckner's just got to recover like he did last night. He's already in a battle for about the 13th position. He's going to gain maybe 2 positions today. As we don't have a battle for the lead, let's take another quick look at this.
Yeah.
I just don't think the hole was there.
No, but you also could argue that the 28 was just kind of coming down on it. But I tend to agree with you, Connor. But I don't know that was a passing opportunity. Casey Lakatos around in the bus stop here.
Looks like.
Oh, there's another truck there. Ryan Nowicki.
Oh, Ryan Nowicki's been struggling. I think he's having internet issues.
Yep.
Lakatos is having internet issues. That might be why Joey Chapman got into him, and Nowicki's just having maybe hardware issues.
And just couldn't get the thing steered, and then it came to a stop. So He's back rolling. Casey is as well. We've got all 38 trucks that started the race. Now we go, ooh, Matheson's in the wall as he turns back up onto the oval. These two fought tooth and nail last night, really, really hard. They walked away, I think, having very positive opinions of the way they raced, but maybe not in the early going of this one.
Yeah, I think Matheson's trying really hard to get back to him, but I don't know how much that damage is going to be affecting him. Scioli's much quicker. The gap hasn't gone up too much this lap, but it is still going to be increasing for a while. As I'm sure Matheson, I wouldn't be surprised if he considers a short pit just to get back to the bumper of the 7. Because I can't not help to believe that move on the front stretch chicane must have been in response to what he did to Beckner, but you just never know.
It was from so far back and so deep that could have potentially been a problem. JT Poole hits pit lane. Is this plan, do you think, just pit and be done?
I would think it has to be. No damage done to the truck from 12th position. This is definitely going to be a strategy play. This is still close on fuel. We went about 36 laps fully on a tank last night, but the Cup cars have a much bigger tank. I think this is, I wouldn't be surprised if this is fuel only.
No tires going on, so that seems to be the case there.
It's a long wait on fuel if that's the case. I don't know if that's a penalty. Oh, Weishart's way wide.
Whoa, he's way off in the runoff there. He's going to lose 1, maybe 2 spots. Joshua Balliet trying to muscle his way by here as they turn back out onto the oval. That's turn 8.
We just got word in race control, James Scioli passed through penalty.
Whoa, all right. So that's an interesting call. This is not something that you would normally have at an oval race, but because we don't have cautions to dish out the end of line penalty, a pass through. Wow, that's big news. And he's going to skip the pit lane here. He should. Not on anyone's side, but just doing your due diligence. He should fight this. You're not just going to give in lap 1. You're going to try to argue your case. You're going to argue, especially with the 52 running into him the subsequent corner, that he should at least get a pass through as well.
I gotta say, you do have the option. They tell you the rule on the road courses, because there's no yellows. If you're involved and you want the admin to review it, you've got to speak up on the mic. And honestly, I was in some incidents. I don't think anyone keyed up on the mic for the backstretch incident either. Really for any incident. We saw a few last night, but obviously Beckner, I did hear him say something after the incident already happened. He was very adamant that he wanted something to happen, and it happened. I'm just shocked it even happened. The call, I don't disagree with it. I'm just honestly shocked it was called. Yeah,
so, I mean, that sets the precedent for the rest of the race that you just can't run people over. But again, he'll be fighting the same case about what happened on the front straight chicane. If he's not doing that, I don't think he's doing himself a service, right? Because you've got to play both sides of that game. Sometimes you make a mistake, sometimes you're over aggressive, but if someone does it back, you just have to be willing to give them the same complaint in return. This is something I see all the time at GT World Challenge America when you follow along in the race control lap.
From Scioli.
It looks like he's going to hit pit lane. In the race control lap, one of the teams will say, hey, he hit me, and then the other team will say, well, you hit me first, and then race control is more likely to say, all right, fine, it's even. No penalties to everybody, or maybe you both get penalties. But it's not often that both those things will go unchecked. Here's Beckner past Mitchell on his trudge back forward here after the spin he had on that opening lap.
Yeah, Beckner's actually really recovering well. He's back into the top 10. So we'll see how much he can get back to. As maybe see he's pretty
the 707. Balliet right in the middle of the road. Sieg and Beckner go the long way around. Balliet gets back rolling and avoids getting clobbered.
And Scioli rolled up on the scene of that. Don't know if that was side by side gone wrong. Yeah, it was. But Balliet, that's a lot of rear brake. It looks like.
Yeah, it was beside the 33 of Weishart and just got the thing turned around. Beckner is going to use that opportunity, go to the outside of Sieg. He's in the fence, but he completes the pass.
That's one way to complete the pass, as Sieg, he throttles up trying to get back under him. Beckner's just going to shut him down as Scioli's off the pit lane, not too far behind. He's about 3 positions behind the 28 now, but he's still got a pit stop, so now he's also on a recovery drive. That's how far of a lead the 7 got. He's able to maybe still get a top 10, top 5 out of this as chaos over the curb.
It really is behind Sieg. That is Brad Slaughter Jr., James Scioli, and then Eric Wineland. Scioli came out 10th. Wineland up 1 spot from where he started, chasing this group of 3 trucks.
Yeah, this is the bad part of Skyler's just going to dive under Slaughter. Slaughter gives it up. I don't think he wanted to fight that. It's tough being in this situation when you're around a bunch of trucks instead of in clean air. Really slows your pace down. As Kyle Sieg, or let's see, Greg Mitchell, for example, ran a 1:25. It's about 3 seconds off race leader Jake Matson, who's in clean air, 2 seconds up. So just being behind at least even 2 trucks, it makes a big difference in lap time.
And look at Sam Fontaine, the 71, right behind Eric Wineland. Not letting him rest on any patient moment. And Eric drives away, leaving turn 4 here. 5 and 6, both flowing right-hand corners up over the crest. You have to wait for the truck to settle before you can get power down. And then it's 2 left-handers. Turn 7 here. You're going to ride that out all the way to the concrete.
Oh!
And Slaughter did that just a bit too much.
A lot of drivers hit that wall hard, but it's not really doing a lot of damage. The right side of the 8 looks okay. I feel like I can only help but be thankful for it's not an next gen. I feel like next gen, that toe light's going to break and you're out, but Slaughter's getting away with it, and he's just hanging on to a top 10 move over Wineland as Scioli gets let by Kyle Sieg into the chicane.
That's a really big stack up here behind Wineland through the chicane. Sam Fontaine seems much faster in some sections of the racetrack and slower in others. But he's got a great run here heading into this last chicane. Looks like the 8's going to peel off and head to pit lane. We've been told you can make it from here, so that's going to open up tons of opportunity for strategy. Oh, contact!
It's a bit of a dive there by Fontaine, but he's going to get it done. That's why even chicanes are a very risky spot to make a pass through, because if you don't get him clear before the end, before the left-hander, before it goes back the other way, you're probably going to have that happen. That's at least the 3rd time I've seen that happen, and finally comes over the radio just saying appreciate that. He appreciates Sam Fontaine for that move.
Yeah, he had to serve a small slowdown there. And had to drop back behind Joshua Balliet. That leaves Justin Anasogak hot on his heels here heading into turn 5. A little shallower entry. Wineland cheats out a little further to apex a bit later.
He tries to get, that's kind of what you have to do. You really want to keep it nice and tight to the right before this double left-hander. Just gives you the best double apex you can possibly get, as close to that tire barrier as you possibly can as well. And then you got to start getting careful of that tire wear. Getting back onto the banking, it will slide, and that will hurt your tires even more if you're not careful with that.
Peachin, I think, has just had a problem in the 69.
Reset. And he's disconnected completely.
Turn 7 here. Oh, just gets... Oh.
I think that was a quit.
Yeah, that was a concede and move on to next week. And as I mentioned last night, this is not a race that effectively matters all that much. There's only one type of, there's only one road course on this calendar. So if you're not great at road courses, it's fine to take this one as a loss. It won't matter in the grand scheme of things here. Look at this, Senesac, Anasogak, Nowicki all packed in together as Nowicki goes a lap down.
Yeah, Nowicki's struggling right now. Even up ahead of this, Sam Fontaine and Balliet are side by side. You almost see him in the middle of the screen, as also Beckner and Weishart trading blows there. I think Beckner's back by him. Balliet just defending on Fontaine, even more battling in behind. It's all over the place. I believe it's Danny Ware in front of that.
Yeah, there's Colin Fambro and Eric Grant battling for 22nd place. Some good battles everywhere. I was just keeping my eye on all of them as they came through turn 1 through turn 4. 3 different pairs of trucks side by side.
And still no one else besides Slaughter hitting pit road as Grant really hopped the curb there. 50 full stop was long. I'm not sure if it was a penalty or what, but it wasn't an admin given out penalty. He's very far down the order. That likely won't be a factor. But these battles are going to still go on. We still wait for maybe others to go short pit as Grant is really hounding the 18.
Yeah, big time slideways there through turn 8 as he tried to get the power back down to accelerate up onto the back straightaway. Sam Fontaine and Balliet side by side, and Eric Wineland is back for more. Here he comes.
I'm sure Wineland is trying to get the Fontaine because he really appreciated his move, but like Fontaine forced Balliet too deep under brakes in that backtrack chicane. He was able to get the job done with an over-under. It's going to be tough for Balliet to defend Wineland here. Not a good run off the final corner. Wineland will look driver's left.
Should. Well, he brakes a bit early, and it's actually really tough to complete a pass here on the inside because right after here, the next 2 corners are right-handers, and Balliet hangs on Wineland, almost finds himself in the wall there. 2 right-handers now at 3 and 4, then another 2 at 5 and 6.
Yeah, but much different corners. Downhill a little bit in the first one, but then this uphill, the rear end likes to come out on the uphill, right here especially, so you really got to be careful of that. You cannot fire it in too deep because you're in the grass on the left. That's where I got my damage last night, so you got to be careful not doing that into that tire barrier. Then obviously here, just don't hit the wall on the right, but you want to get as close to it as possible, get that best arc onto the oval.
You're going to get very tight to that tire bundle. Right there, you want to be basically as far left as possible and apexing as late as possible, as you mentioned, to get the power down. It's one of the longest runs that you're going to get. You don't actually get all that fast here. About 155 miles an hour is your VMAX compared to Watkins Glen. That's off about 10, 15, almost 20 miles an hour slower. It's Colin Fambro and Shane Wolf. This is a battle for 21st. Shane Wolf concedes, but he was going to have a run deep on the brakes. Big lockup into the bus stop.
That was an early lockup. Now Garrett Grant's going to take advantage, and here comes Austin Gagjon as well. I think he didn't miss the corner because of his lockup. I don't think he just wanted to wreck Colin, but I don't know if they had contact before, but that was tight.
Yeah, he's got it all woed down. And while there isn't flat spots yet modeled in iRacing, we've been told that everything but the actual flat spot is modeled. So what that means is that locking up's not good for your tires, and you're going to lose some performance over the next couple of laps. Shane Wolf is. You see how much time he's already lost to that pair ahead of him, Grant and Gagjon.
Yeah, these two are going to do battle as well, as things are spreading out a little bit more inside the top 15. Fontaine, Valiette, and Wyland, even just Anna Sogak are still a little bit close, but no battle there. It's a bit closer here for this position between these two.
Gagjon in the 41, haven't talked a lot about him tonight. 27th up to 23rd, slow but steady climb, and we're just about the 1/3 mark of this race, so he's got plenty of time left to make his moves up the order. But still owes a pit stop, as does pretty much everybody in the field, save for 2 or 3 drivers. And Scioli still owes a pit stop, and he already came and served that penalty, so he's going to have to naturally take the lead back. That's going to be tough. There are some drivers running times that are basically as fast, one of them being Travis Beckner, the other being Jake Matheson, who leads this race.
I think he is a little bit faster than Matheson, but he's about 12 seconds back already, and he's only got 22 laps to go, just about. So without strategy, I just don't know if it's going to be possible. You take a splash and hope to hold him off on old tires. That might be his only way to get this win. I just don't think he can make up 11 seconds in this whole entire race. Plus, he's still got to get by Travis Beckner, and I'm not so confident that's going to be easy to do.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, you know, if you're a road ringer, this is an opportunity to snag an easy win. And that, you know, the thing Scioli can rest on is that he's not just good at road courses, and that's Jake Matheson as well. And you know what's interesting, Connor? You look at the running order; it's actually not all that different than it would be any other week, and that's probably the biggest surprise to me, is that there's no one driver in this field that completely comes alive at the road courses that doesn't do that anywhere else.
Yeah, honestly, really the only surprise is not that much of a surprise. It's probably Sam Fontaine in 10th. He doesn't have a top 10 this season. He's ran decent, but this is a little bit better than where he's used to. He's 17th in points, and as far as that playoff cut line, this would definitely be a big result for him if he could stay here.
It's just 10th place is hardly road ringer, right? He's just having a decent night. It's just, you know, we've had other leagues in the past where, you know, you've got your subset of oval racers, and then you have a driver or two that shows up and stinks up the show at the road courses. I think that just speaks to the talent level here in the area truck series, that it's so consistent no matter what surface or racetrack you're on. It seems to be the same 10, 15 people that are accumulating towards the top of the standings, and the order doesn't even really change all that much.
No, it really doesn't. It's very, very similar to what you would usually see anyways. Matheson, Hall, Curhan, Mason, Kane, Beckner, the top 5. And Kyle Seeks having a good night as well in 9th position, as James Scioli's found his next competitor to get by Weishart. See how much he battles this. They are, I believe, teammates for the most part. I think they are literally teammates. So see how much Weishart wants to battle this. This is for 6th position, about maybe a second and a half behind Travis Beckner.
Still so much work to do, and Scioli drops to the bottom, and I don't think Weishart's going to make this difficult for the 7th, so he goes through in his number 7 Tundra. And Gary Waterworth and Bryce Senesac trading positions. Waterworth up to 14th.
That was kind of textbook how you can try to pass in that double left-hander. You get the wide exit out of that final right-hander and then just fire to the inside between those two left-handers. That was textbook by Waterworth there. Really good pass.
And most of the field is still on the lead lap even. We're coming up on lap traffic for Jake Matheson right about now, but 34 trucks on the lead lap. The other 4 that started the race are out. So there's no one, well now just one, that is a lap down.
Cottis, obviously he didn't get much practice in, so it's just not too surprising to see him 34th in the order. Still some battling. Fontaine and Balliet won't give it up. Wyland has not kept up with these two, but these two will continue to battle.
Yeah, really good fight here between Balliet. He's laid it all out on the line tonight, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And aggressive in his inputs. We've seen him go for some slides here and there. Had a little tussle with Eric Wyland. He's trying to keep Eric in the distance in the rear view. And last time by, he was 8 tenths faster than the 21.
Yeah, I think Wyland might have made a mistake, but I think his tires are going to start to fade a little bit. This would be the point when we might start to see pit stops. We're only about 2 to 3 laps away from that halfway point, so can't be too far away from it as Mason Kane lets Travis Beckner by. A little bit of maybe Scioli insurance there as the 31 with solid run, but you can see Beckner's pace right now is extremely good.
It was quicker than the leader last time by. Was the quickest truck on the racetrack, in fact. Last time by a 1:22.967. That translates to 97 miles an hour average. If Travis can keep that up, he will be a threat for the win here, as he was the last time we visited the Charlotte Roval. But he is still 4 seconds back. Make that 10 seconds back from Jake Matheson, who leads this race. 20 laps to go this time through, though, and almost everyone still owes us a pit stop.
Oh, we got a crash.
Yeah, this is at
JT Poole.
Oh, really?
Yeah, him and JT Poole. I don't know what happened, but Poole's front end's totaled. I wonder if he came up onto the scene of Stafford's incident or something.
He's in a bad spot, too.
Yeah, he's just trying to find a way to get back going. He'll get back going before Jeremy Brown gets there, and this looks like exactly what happened. Stafford spins. I don't think JT Poole sees him.
Oh, is he going to reverse right here? And JT,
yeah,
just right into the door.
There's not much anyone could do there.
Right on board here as he comes through. Sees the smoke, but by the just not much. Not much you could do, right? You know it's there. That's one of those things that the only thing that would really help you is having an eyeball on the relative and just expecting him to be on the racing line. But that's just anticipation. That's sometimes wrong.
Yeah, sometimes wrong. There's really not much either driver could do there. It did make us miss the pass for that 10th position. Joshua Balliet got by Sam Fontaine in the final chicane. A little bit rough, but no contact made, so Balliet's finally back by Fontaine, and unfortunately for Sam, Eric Wyland's got just a little bit closer to him, as we see Jacob Bell, who also made a pass here just a little bit a while ago in front of Matt Sharp.
And a couple of trucks hit pit lane. Mason Kane is one, John Hall is the other. Those are the first 2 drivers from inside the top 5 to break and make their trip down pit lane. This will be the only time, barring any penalties or contact from here on out, that they'll make that trip to pit road.
Wyland's going to join them. Oh, he really locked up on pit entrance, but I think he did make it work. Senesac in as well. This is just before halfway. This should open the floodgates, as people say. Jacob Bell will join in from 17th as well. This definitely should open the door for people to pit.
And so Bell will come down, and all the while Matheson continues to tick away, but he's not the fastest truck on the track. It continues to be Travis Beckner and James Scioli. Scioli's a hair quicker, but he is closing in on Beckner. This could be an interesting fight to keep our eyes on.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's going to keep Beckner maybe from challenging Matheson, or really those two even getting close to Matheson, is going to be themselves. I don't think this is going to be that clean of a battle. I'd be shocked if it was, actually. So I'm interested to see if Scioli maybe plays strategy to just avoid Beckner on track and just hold it for later. But Scioli is rushing these chicanes.
They've just got history, right? Lots of it.
Matheson's in.
And the leader onto pit road. 18 laps to go. Curhan's going to stay out, and he'll lead another lap as
Beckner's
he did early. And Beckner's going to come down, and Scioli will stay on the track and try to pull the overcut here and avoid having to directly battle Beckner. The problem is when you do the overcut, Connor, you know you're going to have to pass him again on the track. Where the undercut, you can do it without ever having to face him.
Yeah, I think he knows. I don't think he's really focusing on getting into a big battle with Beckner, although I think that's what's going to happen as Fambro and Gak Jones will continue to battle. I don't think he's focusing on Beckner. I think he's focusing on just getting the pressure tires of the end. I think he assumes this is going to be his only shot at getting to that 52 and even getting a better position, so he's taking that risk because he has nothing left after the penalty, as these two are going to battle hard as Matheson's out of pit road now, and Fambro and Gak Jones are both going to pit, and Gak Jones passes him on entry.
Holy cow, wow. That was awesome. Gak Jones makes the pass coming onto pit lane, and That is going to gain on the spot, I think, on exit as well. Here's Beckner out of pit lane, right behind Mason Kane out of pit lane.
Listen, just let him by. We'll see if he fights him this time. I don't think he will. No.
Yeah. Beckner goes through. That was
incredible.
Important moment, I think, to come out of pit lane and immediately get let by. That'll let you make the time on the fresh tires that you needed. Joshua Balliet pops out right behind Eric Wineland, so that pass and tussle is complete. Remember, they had a little bit of a run-in earlier in the night through that final chicane.
Yes, they did, but all through clean. Curhan, the leaders in. Scioli's going to follow him in really hard on pit entry, but I think he made it. Can't be too many people left. Mitchell's in. Beckner would be the next driver to catch these guys, I believe. Actually, it might be just Anasogak as far as drivers who haven't pit yet.
Yep, so it's going to Curhan, Scioli, Mitchell in. Anasogak goes as a pit stop. Matt Sharpos as a pit stop. Then Therian, Ware, Joey Chapman, Bronson Stafford, Jeremy Brown, and Casey Lakatos are all that are left.
Matheson and John Hall will get by Scioli. Curhan is going to come out just in front of Travis Beckner, I believe.
Yep.
Yes, he will. Scioli's coming out. He's going to be behind Mason Kane. And I think he'll be clear in front of Weishart, so he'll have some ground to make up the Kane.
Yeah, that was a big gain for Beckner on that sequence because he came in a lap or two earlier than Scioli. But I don't know that I would have tried the overcut here, Connor, pitting a little bit later. There has been tire wear, but it has not been what I would call massively significant tire wear. At places like Darlington, when you're dropping 3, 4, 5 seconds a lap off of a run, I think that overcut strategy is almost overpowered. But here it was 2 seconds-ish. So I don't know that it's the strategy I would have played tonight. I would have rather had the track position and make it hard to pass later. Here's Balliet on Wineland for 12th.
Elliott's trying to get back by, and the real reason why it's not going to work is because he overcut by a lap. It was not like you're getting way fresher tires to the end. It was by a lap, maybe just trying to get a lap in clean air to get by the 28, but Beckner didn't really come out in dirty air, besides maybe for 2 corners. So that's why I don't think it's the best decision to only do it by a lap. It doesn't really gain you much.
On board here with Wineland as he navigates those backstretch chicanes. What is brewing up front? Jake Matheson leads. Is he the quickest truck, though? He wasn't at the tail end of the first run, but he does have a fairly sizable lead, and John Hall doesn't seem to be making any inroads. It would be either Beckner or Scioli to be the one to wrestle it away. They've got a lot of time to make up, and it's not going to be easy.
They got to make it up in a short amount of time. I thought he was going into a wall there, but John Hall was about 0.8 of a second slower last lap than Jake Matheson, so he's not going to be a factor for the win as Balliet and Wineland get maybe a little physical or almost physical, as Scioli is about 13 seconds back. Beckner, with maybe a little bit fresher tires, or maybe actually 1 lap older tires, is 9.5 back. That's going to be really tough to gain, half a second a lap? I don't see that happening, but he could definitely get the Curhan.
Joshua Balliet is absolutely up Wineland's gearbox here as they leave turn 8 and head down onto the banking. Passing here has got to be very challenging. It's been a long time since I've run a race here in iRacing. It was back on the original Roval configuration that I got a ton of laps here, both in stock cars and in sports cars. But I remember it being extremely challenging to find advantages in the places I needed them. I think that backstretch chicane reprofile helped a lot, but you still don't get a very big run. It's not like you're drafting people up to the braking zone. It's just kind of a dive out and hope you can get slowed down and take enough curb to be able to brake later and have that advantage. Look at the 0-7 sailing over the rumbles.
Maybe a little much there. It could take abuse, but maybe that's not going to be the greatest for speed, as he is trying to hustle to get to the 21. It's easy to lose your bearings, too, when you're right behind the truck. You can kind of forget where you're supposed to be as he just hopped that curb. Meanwhile, for 5th, Mason Kane's under fire from James Scioli.
Under fire indeed, side by side through turn 8. Kane's going to have the preferred line here as they accelerate up, but Scioli's going to get through the gears clean.
Yeah, they did not make contact, or they might have been close to making contact coming out of the infield. We'll see how different the brakes are for these two. Not too different. Kane's going to keep this spot. Scioli tries to cross over out of the chicane. He's going to be able to get the run, but can he hold it in the next chicane?
Yeah, Kane did a really cool thing there on the break. Oh, he turned him! Kane into the fence. Wow.
And that ruins... That's going to ruin any chance of a good finish.
Stuck on the banking, too. He's going to roll down.
And Scioli spins on pit entry.
And
he just quit. Straight up quit.
Huge issues here. Man, just turned him up into the outside wall. I want to get a better look at that from above.
Yeah, that was...
It's kind of... Oh, that's not a great angle, is it?
That would be huge hit. Huge for points, too. Yeah, I mean, Kane's off the bottom line, but that doesn't mean anything. I think Scioli's expecting... Not much. I think Scioli's expecting him to be closer, but I mean, he just runs into the right rear. Not making friends with Miller Racing, that's for sure.
No, and,
that was even uglier than the first one.
I was going to say that. I think the mistake on lap 1 is forgivable. I don't know if that one is. That was a big mistake by James Scioli, and he's going to give up the points tonight by finishing down the order. Yeah. Big surprises there. Let's go back to the battle now for 9th between Wineland and Balliet.
For the points, he was 16 below coming into tonight. We thought for sure this would be a gain, but he's going to lose even more. And not that he can't win on ovals, he's very good at ovals as Balliet makes his pass just about. Kane's just trying to get by both of them now with his damage. It's so many points to give up. It's going to be interesting to see how he recovers. As Wineland's got to run back on Balliet. These two are not giving up on each other. Balliet's deep under the brakes. Wineland actually deep later.
Yeah, what I was going to say before the 31 got turned around was when they were going off side by side into the bus stop, the 31 mid-braking zone rolled off the brake pedal. He just let the car coast a little bit further to give him the nose ahead into the corner, and at that point, he could just use the curbing to help turn the car in. He knew he was going to be in there a bit hot and give up something on exit, but just to make sure that he went in there as the leading car, he rolled off the brake pedal and chose to go in a little bit hot. He didn't brake later. He slowed the truck down earlier and faster, and then kind of released the brake pedal to lunge forward. It was a really astute move there by the 31. Big smoke cloud there leaving turn 2. I don't know what that's all about.
I'm not sure either. It could have been Beckner and Kurhan battling, but I don't think it actually was. Beckner got close to the bumper, did not make contact with him. I think this pass is probably imminent. Would not be surprised if it was.
See James Shane Wolf about 2 seconds off his best lap pace this lap, so that could have been him as well. Through the chicane zone, Beckner takes a big chunk of it, coming to 12 laps to go next time by.
Oh, I was actually trying to look at the time. I think he's gained about a second on Matheson. Even at this rate, it won't be enough, but definitely a shame for what could have been a decent battle between him and the 52 and even Scioli if they didn't have the initial contact between all three of each other. They were definitely the top 3 in this race, and Beckner, it might even have a case for second, as maybe it was Sean Hall. He lost a lot of time to Kurhan in the last lap.
Battles a lot of places around the racetrack. I find, see this 88 wiggle there instead of sack throttles back up here. Find road racing, especially in stock cars, really entertaining because you get these really natural battles that are not forced together by yellow flags or anything. They just kind of naturally happen. Another big smoke cloud in the braking zone for the chicane. That tells a story that we missed through that last slalom section back onto the front straightaway. And I think Beckner and Kurhan is going to be a battle that we see before this race is over.
I think so for sure. I think that cloud of smoke was Balliet just missing the chicane and let Wineland back to his bumper, as these guys are just going to go all over each other. Mason Kane, Sam Fontaine, this is the pack right now. This is the big pack. As Kurhan is still ahead of Beckner up ahead, so no change there. So both of them are catching John Hall. But yeah, this is natural racing. You don't get much better than this on the road courses. Trucks are maybe a surprise to people, but these trucks race really well.
Yeah, 4-horse race here for 9th place. Actually make that 5-horse race for 9th place because Gary Waterworth has joined in the back of this group, and then the blue number 12. Balliet pulling a bit of a gap on Wineland, but Mason Kane is beginning to apply some pressure. Well, he does have some damage. It doesn't seem to be slowing him down all that much.
Comes Beckner for the 3rd position to be inside on Kurhan. And he's going to try to complete it, but Kurhan got a better run. He's going to try to fend him off. Beckner threw it in, trying to clear him, and got an advantage.
Ooh, I thought he had it cleared, but Kurhan chucked it down there in turn 3 and had to bail back out, but it's very, very close. Going back to Wineland and Balliet through the final chicanes here. Wineland's really good on the brake pedal, but lining up the exit seems to be where Balliet has the advantage, and then even JT Poole and Danny Ware through the backstretch chicane.
Fontaine and Waterworth. Waterworth took a look. It's Garrett Grant almost gets squeezed into the wall there by Fontaine, or not Fontaine, Austin Gap-Jones. But he'll make that pass whether Gap-Jones likes it or not, as that was pretty tight out of that corner. Is Daniel Ware and JT Poole. JT's just trying to make up for lost time after slamming into the 61 truck as he really slides the thing out there.
Yeah, spun up the differential.
He actually lost that spot.
Yeah, heard the wheel spin there, but it was different from left to right, like he spun up the differential. And that can happen when you get one side of the car on curbs and the other's on the pavement. It really kind of confuses that rear gear. There's Kane past Weiland, and that'll open the door for Sam Fontaine here if he can turn the car down the banking here in NASCAR 2.
While everyone's getting by Matt Sharp in NASCAR 1 and 2 as well. I don't believe he's made a pit stop because we haven't talked about him. Look out under a braking zone. It's going to make things tight getting by him.
Yeah, you're right. He is not yet pit. He's the last driver other than McConis to have not yet pit, but he is a little bit of a cork in the bottle here. Oh boy, Fontaine wanted underneath, and Sharp didn't want to give it to him.
I can't blame one driver trying to pit. Fontaine's just trying to keep touch with the top 10 position he's trying to get, so can't fault either driver there.
And I think that was kind of what led to the incident between the 31 and the 7, is that back straightaway runoff area. I don't know if I've got a really good angle of that. A little bit of a skip
JT
down there.
Poole.
JT has to go straight. But right here on the left, that runoff area, you kind of use that as the racing line. You don't have to get back up on the racetrack. And I think maybe, the defense Skyler's going to take is, well, the racing line is on that painted surface, but you have to get above the blue line before you get to NASCAR 3, and just didn't quite have enough space there for that to happen as JT muscles his way by that passing Gap-Jones, and here comes the lead.
That's Gap-Jones not going to be happy about that because it cost him an extra spot. A spot that it wouldn't have cost him if JT just didn't make a mistake. He's going to make a crossover on Dylan Lee, though, but I don't have room to do anything there. Lee got sideways through there, but kept it straight enough to keep the position as that battle is going to continue on. Fontaine is trying to hold off Gary Waterworth, and now Josiana Sogak's joined that battle as Lee gets by Poole. He's really struggling in certain parts of the track, maybe trying too hard.
Well, he always seems to smile when he's struggling. Got the tongue hanging out there a little bit, but always a fun face to watch, even in the days when he's having the worst. Always check on JT, and if that car's sliding, he's having fun. He will rejoin the oval section here with a bit of pressure now from Colin Fambro in behind him.
We'll see if there's, I don't know if there's going to be a horsepower difference even with JT's front end damage. It looks like it's really hurting him that much. He's just hurting his brake capability just because of how mangled that front end looks. You see the left front looks broke to me. Is Fambro too hard into that chicane? We'll get him back. Slaughter tries to get him. Fambro still slide, just can't do anything, and Slaughter will get by him.
Love watching that. Matt Sharp finally hits pit lane, and for second place, Travis Beckner's caught John Hall here. This is 8 seconds back from the lead. Perhan has kind of recaptured Beckner as Beckner sits in behind the 0-3. But coming to 8 laps to go. Miller Racing really setting themselves up across the variety of tracks and championships that area has set out this season.
Yeah, they're pretty dominant. They're hard to beat at any track because they got drivers that can win on any race, any part of the week. So, Matheson Monday and Tuesdays, you still got Beckner, and you got all those drivers, Mason Kane, and trying to Euro Shack on Thursdays for that team. Just very, very dominant set of drivers they put together. They also have Kwame Scott, who's one of the newest drivers at Coke next season. So they got a very tough field of drivers in that camp, and they're hard to beat, and it's shown in the point standings, as you said.
Well, it's like peak Penske or peak Hendrick Motorsports. Sometimes you just get a group of people together, and they're just very, very hard to take down. And this is a season that they're going to have to capitalize on. We've seen how impressive drivers across areas championships are. Battle for 21st year into the bus stop. And Brad Slaughter slips and slides. Too much. Big slide here on exit. And Fambro's sideways too. And JT will hang on. And if you could see the smile on JT's face right now as he's been trying to hold this group off.
Funny, because that battle is actually, that's how spread out things can get on a road course. That battle is really only the length of NASCAR 3 and 4 in front of our battle for third. And speaking of the battle for third, it's not going to be a battle. John Hall just going to let Travis Beckner by in turn number 3 of the oval section and probably just try to hold off Perhan to the end.
Yeah, start playing rear gunner now for the 28 as Beckner is one of the quicker drivers on the track. Big commitment there over those curbs in the last chicane. clicking down laps here from the Charlotte Roval. I don't know that he's going to be able to keep Curhan back, though. That 24 has been rock solid tonight.
Yeah, he's been rock solid, and the 03 has just been falling off as those tires get a little bit older. We didn't really see it that much on the first run, but the second run, he's not been as safe on the tires as he was run number 1. Lost a lot more ground to Matheson in a shorter amount of time than the last run on tires, and now it's just, I think, a matter of time before Curhan makes this pass work.
Yeah, last time by, John had to lift to let Beckner through, but it was a half a second improvement for Curhan over Hall. And I think Curhan's been a bit friendlier to his tires on this run. It seems to be helping him out later in this race. But 7 laps around here is still enough time that even Curhan can burn him up and fall back into the wayside here.
And not over yet. You can't just burn him up now. Still got about 6-7 laps. If you use them up too early on the first few laps, you're going to have nothing for the last 3 laps to battle with, as Beckner's cut that lead to just under maybe 8 seconds. You'll need to gain a second lap, easier said than done, as Curhan's just going to be all over the rear bumper in the final chicane. As Matheson, we will catch lap traffic, but not sure how much of a factor it'll play. Curhan driver's right, just showing the nose to John Hall.
It could play a big factor here, but team working together, I don't think that that'll create the drama that we saw it create last night, for example, when it was the Scioli car and Matheson battling for the lead in the closing moments. Here's Sam Fontaine and Gary Waterworth. This is a battle for P11. And I think they've got Justin Enesogak right behind it as well in that black and red 88 truck.
These guys will not go away. Waterworth sideways, can't open a door. Enesogak won't be able to go anywhere as black traffic makes it more and more. Ryan Swan will have to let him by. Maybe not. Waterworth almost blocking the move to the right by Enesogak.
Oh, look out. Oh, he will.
No, not quite.
Oh, boy. And then Senesac just behind. There's one truck pulling on a line there.
Caught us a little bit out of line there, but I thought Waterworth was going to be held up too much by Swan, but Swan gets out of both their ways. Fontaine's still chasing Weiland down, and meanwhile up ahead even, Balliet is held up Mason Kane. I wouldn't say held up, but Mason Kane's been stuck behind him for a while.
Here comes Curhan.
Here goes the move for Curhan.
Yeah, late on the brakes here into the backstretch chicane. Door to door there, the 24 jumps the Turtles, but great defense there by John Hall. He's going to sweep over to the left to make sure he keeps that shorter line covered.
And look how much ground they already lost to Beckner. Beckner
3 seconds
away from them.
Yeah, and
pretty much a lap.
Beckner is eating into Matheson's lead quite a bit. I just don't know if it's going to be enough, but this battle is awesome between these two.
This looks much more fun than what it was to race last night. I don't know if it actually is, but this is incredible stuff. Battles all over the track. And that was great defense by John Hall, like you said. He did not go too deep into the second leg of that chicane. He just got a solid, cool, calm, collected run, just enough to clear Curhan. Then he cut across the block.
There was some discussion on the Discord server about some drivers that had discovered that road racing is a lot more fun in road racing vehicles than it can be in stock cars. I tend to think the opposite sometimes. I don't personally love the way the trucks drive on the road courses. I think they feel very loose and very sloppy. But the Cup cars are almost too stiff and don't have enough mechanical grip really to compensate for their horsepower level and aero level. So the middle ground for me, the Xfinity car, I love driving on road courses, and I would do an entire season of that if that was the thing. They just can sometimes be really joyous to drive, especially with the old-fashioned 8th pattern gearbox. You get yourself a shifter and flip those downshifts. You don't get to do that on the road course cars a whole lot now that they're all flappy pedal.
You don't do it on the Cup car either because it's sequential, so you can't do that.
Right.
That's why you have to have a plate for that if you have a Crossmaster shifter. Yeah, it is incredibly fun. Xfinity cars are. The tires wear out a little bit more, it gets a bit more wild. We'll see that Thursday night in the 2 nights' time, so that should be fun. And it's racing a lot better tonight than I honestly thought it would. I was honestly kind of shocked when our early road course was the Roval, but this is racing really well with these trucks.
Yeah, I think it was a couple seasons ago we were racing Sonoma and Watkins Glen, and when I saw there was only one road course on the calendar, and I was surprised to see it be the Roval. It's not generally a very liked racetrack. I think a lot of people would rather go to a more traditional road course, but this place does tend to put on some pretty good shows, as John Hall and Curhan maybe almost a touch there as they head down through 4.
Curhan fired in hard and just had to maybe lift a little bit, lift off the brake a little bit to not hit the rear.
Whoa, Curhan, slide.
Too wide.
Too much.
Actually didn't cost him as much as I thought it would, but it did cost him probably a shot into the next chicane. As it's just incredible how much faster Beckner is. It's incredible how much faster these two are than Weishart. They're about 11 seconds up on the next driver, and that's 5th place Weishart, who's 12, 11 seconds back.
Yeah, Mason Kane had a big run here on Valley Head into turn 1 and tried to go for it. Really shallow line here into 1, and just, you can't make that radius with speed, you know as well as I do.
Yeah, that was maybe, I think I get wanting to give him room, but you got to race at some point, and the elbows might have to get out one way or another. You got to get a little closer to him into the corner, side-by-side wise, I mean. Here's some side-by-side. Fontaine is hounding Wyland, trying to go drivers right. Gets squeezed out.
These two have had a bit of a run in tonight already. Fontaine goes out wide, and he's going to try to carry some more speed up along the way around here. Longer run gets you some more speed here, and maybe the shorter way isn't always the way you want to go. Braking zone.
This is gonna be tight. Oh, Fontaine's deep under the brakes.
He's going to lock it up.
Deep.
Locked up the rears. Yeah.
And that's going to be a slowdown. He's going to lose maybe 2-3 positions here to Waterworth and to Sogak. I haven't talked about Bryce Senensack either, but he might lose a spot to him too, depending on how big the slowdown is. While that battle might fizzle, John Hall is still keeping Durham behind as we look at this replay. Too much rear brake once again. I think he tries to turn left and it just kicks out. Nothing you can do when that happens.
Yeah, just rode the brake a bit too much rear brake in it, got some wheel hop and away it went. Managed to keep the position from Waterworth, so he'll stay 11th. Therian, Jacob. We haven't talked about the 38 at all, but he just took 15th place away from Jacob Bell. Been a very quiet night for Shane, 21st up to 15th. This will be a night to forget, I think, for him.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. There hasn't been a lot of moving around the field. Gak Jones 27th to 20th, Ware 24th to 17th, Garrett Grant 26th to 18th, but really no big movers. There's big losers. Slaughter, Scioli come to mind, but you know, even with it might still look tough to pass on paper. It's been incredible to see these battles for him. Grant another look, driver's right, just nowhere to go with it. He might even make contact. Came close. It's gonna lose him a lot of time.
Been pretty patient, but he's running out of laps. 2 laps to go here this time through. Next time by, last of our 35-lap race, and Jake Matheson leads by 7.2. It's coming down. If this race was a 70-lap race, maybe Beckner would be back in this conversation, but with that early spin, Matheson has been able to control this race pretty much since.
Meanwhile, he controls the race. Mason Kane still works over Joshua Balliet through the final chicane. Just trying to find a way to get the run. Really aggressive, too aggressive over the first turtle. He loses more time. It seems like he's just been stuck for the past 10-plus laps.
Matthew Rodriguez turned around at turn 1. The 51 truck, kind of all on his own here.
That was right in front of that battle we were talking about. All on his own. Joey Chapman. Ooh, he slammed him pretty hard.
Yeah, pretty big hit there. And Chapman, I think, has gone to pit lane. Wow, 31 sideways there. Mason Kane. And all the while, here comes Jake Matheson around turn number 16 here. He's going to pick up the white flag. Just over 2 miles to complete this race. He has been in complete control. Curhan is running out of opportunities. He's going to feel that pressure. Here it comes. Early braking.
Or was it late on the 0-3? I think Hall really had to check up. Well, look how much of the curb he used there. If that's legal, he's got to run maybe a look in the 1. Not quite.
He threw it in there really hard, but it wasn't enough yet. Still got the 0-3 in the sights.
Oh, Balliet and Kane just made contact. Mason Kane just hit the wall on the left of that backstretch chicane pretty hard.
And pulling away. Don't think he's got significant damage, but back to this battle for third. Last step on the podium. Here comes Curhan up the inside at turn 5.
Last time to go side by side through there. He hopped that turtle a little bit. Hall's going to shut the door. See if Curhan tries driver's right or left. He's going to look left. John Hall completely shuts it off. Great defense there. Now Curhan might have only 2 more chances. In fact, it does only have 2 more.
Throttles up. Make a little contact there.
It's definitely impatient showing, but it's acceptable. It's the final lap. Got to get him at some point. Where does John Hall let him go?
Nowhere. Curhan's going to have to muscle his way by. It's going to have to happen here. Opens the door to the inside. Later on the brakes. Curhan's going to try to set up for the exit here. This is a really good call. Big slide there from John Hall. Checkered flag up front. Jake Matheson's going to pick up the win, but for third, the battle's still on.
That was incredible defense. Hall completely shallow on exit once again. Slaughter lets him by. I don't think Curran's even close enough for a move.
No, unless you're sending it from a long ways back, setting him for the exit. Here he is. Checkered flag waving through the last 2 corners. John Hall, the defense works. Checkered flag, 3rd place for the 0-3, 4th for Michael Curhan.
That was incredible stuff. Even further back, Weishart was getting caught by Greg Mitchell, but Mitchell will not get there. And even further back to Kyle Sieg, who's been on his own for a while. And Balliet will hold off Mason Kane, but Fontaine and Wineland might still have a battle on their hands eventually.
Yeah, 4/10 there.
Maybe too far back.
Yeah, the other battle I'm keeping my eye on, they're still back in the infield here is Dylan Lee and Garrett Grant.
The last drivers on the lead lap.
Yeah, they got a long way to go to get to the checkers. This could still get volatile. I don't think anyone else is close enough, so we'll keep our eyes back here.
Wyland, Fontaine, Waterworth, and then Unisogak and Senesac, they come across the line. And Jacob Bell and Danny Ware relatively close, but I don't think a move will be made. This is actually just in front of this battle we're looking at now. Just behind it, I should say, but they won't be close enough to make a move, but Dylan Lee will be all over Garrett Grant.
Yeah, this is it. Dylan Lee, this is for 18th place on Garrett Grant. It's going to have to be from a long ways back like we saw with the front third and fourth place trucks.
Oh, Grant's wide.
Here comes Dylan Lee.
Not
Throttles
quite.
up. Couldn't quite get there. Good battle there for 18th spot. But Jake Matheson is going to celebrate the victory here in the 52. What a job well done.
Yeah, kind of got the pressure off of him after the sevens pass-through penalty. He already did his burnouts, actually, while we were watching some battles. But a very solid drive, even with the damage on that left front, didn't really affect them. Very, very quick. Definitely a lock for top three, regardless of the outcome. But incredible drive.
Yeah, and that is going to be a second win on the season. Let's have a look here at the results for this evening. And run things down. Matheson gets it done. Travis Beckner second, John Hall third. All three of those drivers have also scored victories this season. So just a really good night for Miller Racing in general. Curhan, David Weishart, Mitchell, Sieg, Balliet, Kane, Wineland, the rest of the top 10.
That was a hard-fought top 10 for Mason Kane with the damage, and Eric Wineland, who just had to battle pretty much everyone from 7th to 15th. I think he battled everyone for that top 10. And how about Kyle Sieg? A really good run for him in 7th. Mitchell, kind of expect that from him. He's a good road course driver in 6th. Weishart battled for 5th as well, as we'll start to scroll down outside the top 10 as well.
Yeah, looking down the rest of the order there, Sam Fontaine. How about Bryce Senesac, 14th place, Shane Therian in the 38 down in 15th. Just nothing to write home about tonight, but sometimes, Connor, you don't need to write home about it. You just need to get a decent result and be okay with it at the end.
And sometimes it's just about finishing, and these drivers did. Waterworth 12th and 12th. Senesac a decent run. Therian just climbed through the field methodically to get there, and Garrett Grant just held off Dylan Lee. Those are the last drivers on the lead lap, and then Gak Joan in 20th. A solid run for him as well. Another run-of-the-mill night for him. A few of these drivers needed just to finish the race after the chaos of the Milwaukee Mile.
Yeah, and looking down the rest, JT Poole, disappointing night for him. I think he could have had more pace. And then the big disappointment this evening as we go down to the last pages here. The 7 of James Scioli caught up in some incidents, and we know he could have won this race, but circumstances didn't allow it. Joey Chapman, Ryan Nowicki, Sean Peachin, and others had a night to, not a night to write home about for them, and they'll just move on to the oval configuration here next week.
Yeah, he'll round out the month of Charlotte, as I keep liking to call it, with an oval race and our final race before our Christmas and New Year break. But that will be big points-wise for Scioli to be down there. He, like we talked about, 16 back coming into tonight. We thought he'd get above that cut line and probably even win tonight, but that's a big shift in the points race going into next week.
Well, it's John Hall, third place tonight in the 0-3, and the battle at the end was just phenomenal to watch, John. You've already got a victory on the season, so things are looking up. Great night for the team as a whole, but you were playing rear gunner there for Travis and Jake and holding off a hard-charging Michael Curran in the closing laps. Take us through your evening, and especially how much the rearview mirror was getting worked out there those last couple laps.
Yeah, oh my God, that was probably one of the most fun races I've had on a road course in the sim, to be honest with you. Like, Michael was so much faster than I was, and to be able to hold him off like that kind of boosted my confidence a little bit that I kind of know what I'm doing. But the race was, I don't know, the first couple laps were really hectic, but glad to make it through. Happy to have Area Shop, Clusa Pines on the truck for tonight, and yeah.
A really solid night, but the road course, that's done not only for tonight, but for the season. We head back to the oval racing from here on out and to Charlotte Oval next week. Looking forward to going back to the ovals, or maybe wish we could have done this again?
I'd say maybe one more road course would be fun. Maybe a Watkins Glen or something like that, but yeah, I'm super excited to get back on the oval stuff. So,
well, John Hall takes the Area Shop 0-3 Chevrolet to third place. John, congratulations. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
And second place tonight was Travis Beckner, and it was an interesting and busy night, Travis, just as it was last night, digging out of a hole. Tonight, just getting caught up in a collision on the opening lap. Some drama, penalties, but you managed to rebound to second. I think you had a truck to beat tonight. I think you could have won this race, but just didn't have time nor the circumstances to do it. Disappointed or happy for a P2?
A little bit of both. Happy that we got a 1-2-3 for Miller race, and disappointed that I couldn't get P1, but considering the circumstances, I'm happy that I got a P2.
As far as the contact and the penalties and things that happened before, during, and after, is it over after tonight? Just moving on, taking it week by week, or is this something that that gets remembered from here on out?
I just like to thank my sponsors, Calusa Pines Landscape and Celsius Area Shop, Splash and Go Graphics, everybody at Miller Racing, and Low Dollar Racing, and y'all taking the time out of your day to come broadcast this race.
Appreciate it, Travis. P2 tonight, the number 28 Calusa Pines Chevrolet. We'll see you next week back on the Oval.
Thank you.
And Jake Matheson came up one spot short last night, but tonight a controlling stake in the race and laughed all the way to the bank this evening with all the Bank of America logos. Taking it home, P1 dominated this race, but a little bit of dramas in the early opening parts of the race. Take us through how wild that was. You have to be really aggressive around here to make time, and it seemed like you were able to do that and walk away with a win.
Well, you know, I'll always say I'd rather be lucky than good any day. Obviously, I think James and Travis were the class of the field tonight. Those guys were going to walk away with it. But, yep, some contact early on opened up the opportunity for us. And I want to say sorry to James, but the lap one last corner contact, I just locked up, trying to take advantage of the contact they had in front of me and got into him. So my bad on that. But, yeah, crazy action, drama-filled race, and I was just lucky enough to end up on top.
Well, it certainly puts you in a good spot. Your second win in the Truck Series on the season. We head back to the Oval next week. Excited to be back on the Ovals, or wish you could do more road racing?
In all honesty, I'm pretty happy we're going back to Ovals. This track specifically, I'm not the biggest fan of. I think it's kind of janky, but back on Ovals next couple weeks, or the rest of the season, I should say. It's going to be better, and I'm just happy to see that Miller Racing got the 1-2-3 tonight too. That's for being a road course, having kind of lower standards than Ovals. Not standards, but lower expectations than Ovals, for me at least. You know, awesome to see these guys get it tonight.
Yeah, certainly some great team points. Jake, congratulations. We'll see you next week right back here from Charlotte.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Real quick, just want to say thank you to Calusa Pines, Celsius, Area Shop, Alien Gear, Huckett Films, and Miller Racing for everything. And we'll see you guys next week.
We'll see you there, Jake. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, Connor, what a race. Man, again, Charlotte, I don't think it's a popular place, but I do think it puts on a very good race. And with the road racing done here for the Truck Series season, we focus back on the ovals to the Charlotte Oval next week, and then places like Darlington are what everyone looks forward to. Michigan's always a blast. That's a classic in the trucks. Then Homestead, IRP, and Talladega. So lots of fan favorites upcoming before we start the playoffs in a couple weeks.
Yeah, judging off the fact our winners said their track was janky, I can imagine not many other people are fond of this track, but he still handled it very well. Kind of a dominant win after Beckner and Scioli had their issues again and again. And definitely going to be interesting to see how this points battle forms up. We're past the halfway point of truck season now, and after the Oval, we have a 2-week break before our final 5 races in the regular season. For reigning series champion, it's going to be below that cut line by a decent bit. Might take a win, but he did win at the Charlotte Oval last season with 120 laps on the docket for December 19th. That should be interesting.
Drama's upcoming, perhaps in the season. Really good racing tonight from the Charlotte Roval. We'll see you right back here on Thursday for the Area Florida State Builders Pro Series. Kyle Heyer alongside Connor Horn. We'll see you next time from SimTV.